how can I be a U.S. citizen if I never applied to it?
I love that. Good question.
And people, now no offense to Rogers Group, now I've heard rumors that they've changed some of their information. Don't know for sure, but like they pushed the whole thing of affidavits. Well, the problem is you're misteaching an affidavit if you're saying put these claims on paper with no supporting evidence. Right? So when you write an affidavit and you say, I am not a U.S. citizen, where is your supporting evidence to back that up? So what did I do? I did a FOIA request. Guess what that document gives me? Supporting evidence to my claim that I am not a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, I like that.
See, that's where the affidavit community has it wrong, is they teach it like if you put these allegations on a piece of paper, that's good enough. It is not. That's the reason why David Straight's affidavit of repudiation is getting people put in jail, because they're making a bunch of claims to the property that or the name that is owned by the United States. So they're trespassing on another's rights. I mean, if I just had a conversation with a guy this morning, and I said, now think about it. If I come to your house and I trespass on your property, should I not go to jail? He said, yeah, you should. I said, why do you think the government's doing the things that they're doing? We're trespassing on their rights.
Yeah. So we're swimming in a lot of misinformation.
I'll tell you what what come to my realization just the other day. How much censorship have all of you experienced out there? Posting articles on Facebook, Twitter, videos on TikTok. Things get deleted. They claim misinformation, right?
Correct.
You know it to be a truthful statement based on their documents, but they dismiss it as false information, right?
Yes.
If David Straight and Anna Von Reitz are telling the truth, why are they not being censored? Why are they the biggest names in the movement out there?
Good. That's quite a revelation. Yeah, I've asked that myself, that question too. It's like, how is it that certain people can keep talking when we are watching truth completely be censored? So why are they out there? I do ask that question.
Yeah. So we need to learn when we are analyzing. One of the biggest principles of law that I live by, and I preach it all the time, is he who makes the claim has the burden of proof. If you're going to make the claim, where is the evidence to back it up? If you don't have the evidence, you shouldn't make the claim. So ask the government the right questions to the right people. They'll give you the right answers. They will give you all the evidence you need to support your claim.
So then, in a sense, we just, as the the truth community, the patriot community, we need to pivot a little bit and start asking those questions like you're talking about. Okay, we have to ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you said that you put up a sample of your FOIA request in the chat.
I put it right above your videos, and the reason I posted that is I tagged Sean or Smoking Baby, because he put up who wants to be a U.S. citizenship with privileges versus state citizenship with substantive rights, and he posted that ABA thing. Now that ABA PDF document, the citizenship of wealth, the citizenship of legal procedure, was annihilated by the 14th Amendment. Yes, the ABA document, American Bar Association, does state that. But here's the problem. The 14th Amendment was never properly ratified. It does not apply to you. That's in the Congressional Record of 1967. Okay?
Okay.
So, and my response to what he said is, but there isn't evidence that you are, and I put you in quotes, are a U.S. citizen according to the government. And I posted the picture of the response I got to my FOIA request. You only have to read the top couple of sentences. It says, we have completed a search of our person-centric query service and person-centric identity service. No records responsive to your request were located. And what did I ask him? For any records showing that I am a U.S. citizen.
That's gold.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I added that process, the steps and stuff, to the weaponizing your affidavit document that I have. So that I thought I did that a long time ago. Evidently, I did not. So it's in there now. So if anyone wants to learn how to do that, just go to that document.
Yeah.
Did you just upload that date on that weaponized document?
Yeah, it's pinned in the original channel, the main channel, not the chat, but it's pinned in the National USA channel.
And Dawn, you're recording this, I presume. So when it renders, make sure I get the video.
Okay.
You know what? When I had a conversation with Felicia the other day, it was her idea to do the class. And I broke down everything I've been breaking down to everybody.
Uh-huh.
And she said, you know, now that I listen to everything you say and I analyze it based on what she knows, she said, it makes the absolute most sense once you see the evidence.
Right. So the class isn't really necessarily a class. It's more of a, you're telling people how,
it is a class, because why? If you teach a class, what do you got to do? You got to show them the documents so they can learn them.
Got it.
What do? You get a textbook. You go through the textbook. That's all the evidence. A lot of people do not know the foundation that set everything up.
So she's not doing anything about W-4 stuff. It's just going to be your stuff with regards to the whole process.
We're going to be discussing the ins and outs of that when it comes to that point. Because why?
Okay.
If you got to understand the foundation,
right?
As in, how do you relate to the name?
Hey, Andy, can you mute, because you're giving a lot of background feed. Just mute when you're not talking. When you want to talk again, totally unmute. I'm not telling you to mute forever.
Yeah, we're not telling you to mute forever. No. And people that are on here, if you're not red, you can actually unmute if you have questions. The problem is people don't understand their relation to the name, even though they got all the evidence in their possession.
Yes, correct. You just don't know what to do with that evidence.
They don't know what to, yeah, that's right. What convinced me of this was my traffic ticket when it got sealed and dismissed. Because, look, you remember Popeye gave his testimony on the marijuana charge, right?
Yes.
I knew that information. I've been knowing Popeye for a few years. I knew it. I knew he told me that. That's how I know the story. Long before I did my traffic ticket. But what convinced me of it is I took all that knowledge and that evidence. And I had a conversation with the clerk, and what did they do? Sealed the record and dismissed the case. And look at your case. Just the
Right.
other day, what did they do?
They somehow paid it off for me.
Somehow it got paid in an uncertain amount, and
Yep.
by someone else they didn't want to name.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We are speculating that the Treasury paid it, and I believe that to be the case because that's what they're trying to put liens on and access so the state can settle its debts. So,
If I may,
if you may, yes, you may.
oh, thank you. So if we pivot and notify everybody out there, all these agencies and everybody, of our relationship to the name, if that's the bottom line there, we need to still prove that. I mean, we can state our relationship.
You got all your evidence in front of you that you don't own the name.
Okay.
You got a personal checking. You got a personal checking account?
Well, I don't actually. No, I used to years ago.
Yeah, you used to. Okay, a lot of people do. Go get your personal checkbook. Go freaking get a magnifying glass. Go look at the signature line under a magnifying glass. It plainly says authorized representative. If you are signing as an authorized representative, nobody go looks in the law what that actually means. They just sign it thinking it's their name.
Right.
What's another synonym for authorized representative? Registered agent. What's the duty of the registered agent? The sole duty of the registered agent is to send to the principal all notices, all demands, and all processes. Processes are court cases. Notice and demand, that's a bill in the mail. Because what is a bill with a coupon? You get a statement with a coupon attached. What is that? It is a notice of what's owed and a demand for payment.
Okay.
Social Security Administration tells you who the trustees are, and the trustees are the legal owner under trust law. They're the principal.
Okay, so everybody is doing all these paperwork dances and notice dances and document dances that they're just sending this, doing that, and I'm not exempt from that. I've done plenty myself.
I've done them too.
It's kind of sickening as we kind of distill this down. It's actually sickening.
I don't consider
the work
it.
done.
I don't consider it sickening, and here's why. Look, I studied the secured party creditor process for 3 years before I did it. And I did it because I believed in it. Do I still believe in it to a degree? Yes. If it's done right. Okay.
Right.
The parts that I have a problem with is revolving around the security agreement, the UCC filing, and the birth certificate. If you don't own it, it's not your property. Can you really do anything with it? No. The security agreement's wrong because you can't do a security agreement with yourself. But there's an easy way to get around that. Okay? You create you an LLC and let the LLC be the trustee. But then the UCC1 filing, you're claiming a security interest, but you've never established a security interest. And how do you establish that? You got to claim there's a debt owed, and when you claim that properly and you do the administrative process, if you win on the process, now there's a debt owed. Now you can file the UCC.
Okay.
But you got to know your relationship to the name. You're the registered agent. Well, the registered agent is a paid freaking job. You don't work for free, do you?
Yeah, workman is worthy of his hire.
That's right. And a lot of these processes out there, in part, are true. But if you don't know the basic foundations, you'll never see it.
So the potential of getting in a lot of big trouble is pretty great.
Yeah, it is. AKA David Straight stuff. I've seen it happen to too many people. Dawn can tell you she knows somebody personally.
Is there a way to sort of undo? Getting feedback here. Is there a way to undo? We've inadvertently done things, or because we were misguided. Is there a way to notify them, basically rescind everything?
Yeah,
Previous
if you feel you need to do that, let them know that you withdraw everything because there has been a mistake. A
Sure.
mistake can be fixed, an error cannot.
Oh, okay.
You can always rebut a presumption.
And anyway, if someone claims you did something that they themselves have no firsthand knowledge of, you can rebut what they're saying, and you wouldn't, if you do it right, you're not necessarily lying. Where's your firsthand knowledge? Did you witness that? Did you see that? Where's your evidence that I did that? Look, everybody gets credit cards, but look at Popeye's YouTube channel. He calls these credit card companies and asks them to please put the person on the phone that has the firsthand knowledge of the debt. Not a single one of them does. They don't have firsthand knowledge. They have what's on a computer screen. That's hearsay.
Yeah.
When you fill out the information on the document, you put the name, you put the social, and you put an address for them to mail the card to, or do a W-4 for a job or anything. Who are you representing? You're representing the trust. Why? Because you put the name and the social on there.
Okay.
We have to stop thinking that it's us. It's not you.
Well,
It even tells you on the back of the card it's their property.
Well, that's true. I know that. So when you're interacting with Agent Smith, which are all over, and they come up on you and they are going to make an assumption and presumption that you are this name or that name or whoever they claim you are, you rebut that. I rebut all presumptions, right? Is it that simple?
Yes and no. You can't say I rebut all presumptions and think that's going to handle it. No.
Well, like Roger
when
said,
when you rebut it, you got to lay your argument out, and it's got to make logical sense under the law. For example, it's like I got a friend of mine right now that's got a traffic case tomorrow, and I've been telling him, I said, look, when you go into court, copy the back of the social. That's your exhibit A. Go get your personal checkbook and zoom in on the signature line. Get a voided check. Show the voided check. Show the zoomed part that you're the authorized representative, and print off the page from the Social Security Administration showing that they're the trustees, and that by law, under the laws of agency, it is either implied or expressed, and you print off that thing and make that argument, and you print off the code where it says the agent doesn't have liability, and you make your arguments all according to what you are. I mean, if you hand Popeye said, "I'm here to handle the matter for that estate." "Oh, what's your name?" You can call me Peaceful Inhabitant." "Oh, well, we're going to issue an order for the arrest of blah 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 because of failure to appear. He said, "Hold up, Your Honor. I said I was here to handle the matter for that estate. Are you trying to force me to use that name when it's not my property? Because it's my understanding that it's property of the United States, and for me to use it without proper permission would be fraud upon this court. And I know the court is not trying to force me to commit a crime in open court." And in the middle of all him saying this, he hands his social to the bailiff, who hands it to the judge. Is the judge going to turn around and say, "No, that's your name"? He can't dispute that. Says it right on the back of the card whose property it is. And anyway, if I create a trust and I name it Andy, it's a piece of paper. It's not you.
Correct.
Now the question is what is your relation to that piece of paper? That's the question. Nobody's looking at it from that standpoint. They know they were born. My mother gave me that name, but what does that mean by law? That's hearsay.
Yeah, it is hearsay.
Yeah.
Hey, Pastor, have you gotten any more information back from the W-4 that you did?
No, I have not heard a single thing.
Okay. I just
I
sent
don't
mine.
remember what day I mailed them out, but they say it takes typically 2 months, so I'm just waiting.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions that's on here for him? Maybe you should talk about. Oh, go for it.
Don, I just showed you that. Let me turn my thing down.
Hey, sorry.
There you go. Is that better? We're not echoing anymore, are we?
No, Dawn was echoing because her speaker's up. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, I was sharing with Don earlier, Pastor. This is Minister Robert Henry. We've spoken before.
Oh, yeah.
I was sharing with her Elvis Presley's old Social Security card. And
Yep.
perhaps you may have seen that, and I confirmed it because a buddy of mine had his. He's from the 50s. It says account holder underneath Social Security. What's your knowledge on that?
The account holder is still the trustees.
Yeah.
It
But it's
says
amazing
it's their
how
property. My buddy Kenny Capel sent me a picture of his Social Security card, right? Now he covered up the number, but he has a metal Social Security card because he was in the Army Corps of Engineers. And underneath the number, it says account number. It's a bank account. That's the reason why the Treasury is the first trustee. Because the Treasury is the bank.
I thought the Federal Reserve was also involved with that.
They
Could I be
are
wrong?
because why? They are because why? All these promissory notes that you're signing in the name of the trust for end up getting eventually sold to the Treasury, who bundles those in Treasury securities, sells them to the Federal Reserve for the ability to print Federal Reserve notes.
Or bank
Banks,
notes. Yeah.
yeah. Banks can't loan money. All they can do is buy promissory notes.
Correct. Or the same in court matters and court cases as well. Those
that goes through the court registry investment system, and eventually goes to the Treasury, who takes it. Everything goes back to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has to buy the securities so the Treasury can print the notes. A lot of people think, and I used to think it too, that the Federal Reserve is the one that prints the money. No, they don't. The Treasury does. If the Federal Reserve agrees to purchase the notes.
Gotcha. I think Dawn was someone. I think she just asked you a question about the W-4. I wanted to share with you and refresh everybody's little history on my regards with the Home Depot. I never supplied that of a W-4, or even a W-8 bin or an 8233 or whatever that form was. I never supplied anything, and they still withheld federal, state, and Social Security. And I pointed to them Ezekiel 22:12 about extortion, and they fired me over after 4 months. I did a religious accommodation, and I pointed to them a lot of the laws that they broke, including the DOJ's, the Equal Employment Office Committee, their own verbiage and their own reference guidance manual about withholding the use of a Social Security number if you have other means of identification. In my case, it was the passport card. And
well, here's something you're missing, and this is why I say when you file taxes at the end of the year, what do? You usually get a 1040, right?
Correct.
Doesn't it have a perjury statement?
I've not done my own taxes in so long, I couldn't tell you that, Pastor.
Okay, well, it has a perjury statement. Now, what do you typically attach to the 1040? You attach the W-2.
Correct.
Here's the problem. All W-2s, all W-4s, and all 1099s are Class 5 gift and estate taxes. The 1040 is not a Class 5 tax return form. So you're automatically committing perjury right there. So what are the Class 5 tax return forms? The 706 and the 709 form. Now don't quote me, I'd have to go look. I think the 706 is the gift side, and I think the 709 is the estate side. That's either right or I've got them reversed. Either way, the gift side is the tax return to do the return on all the credits you're giving these corporations. Okay? So you go down to Walmart and you pay cash on all your products for the year. Well, you gave them all that credit. So now you put that on the 706 form. The 709, the estate side, is the employer. Okay, so you put all that the employer did on the estate side. See, they've got us. They're allowing us to be ignorant, so we will volunteer to give up our wealth.
I will share this with you, though. Perhaps ignorance is curable. At least what I've learned. But no, that's very well informative, Pastor. I was not aware of that, the 706 and 709. The other thing I'll share with you is these people at the Home Depot, these HR representatives, they put my passport card or my passport number in place of the Social Security number because I refused to give it to them in regards to a religious accommodation. There's actually a very hidden court case back from 1992 from the EEOC versus Information Consultants Technology or Information Technology Consultants, something like that, where perhaps a gentleman by the last name of Hansen did not provide that of a Social Security number. And said because of his religious beliefs. And the outcome was that he won. And I have that information. If I think I may have given it to Dawn. She could forward it to you if you wish, just to view it. But it states in there, now this is back in 1992, where the IRC code, or the Internal Revenue Code, stated that if an employer requested the Social Security number and was not successful in gaining it, that they were to file an affidavit to the IRS in regards that they couldn't get it, and they may be subjected to a $50 fine every year. Or in one case or matter, probably for good reason and cause, perhaps that religious accommodation, that they wouldn't be subjected to a fine as long as they notated it. Okay.
Yep. Guess what? It's the same thing with the W-9. If you ask them for their W-9 and they don't give it, guess what? It's a $50 fine.
There you go. There you go. So what? Who's being injured in the fact in that question? You know, not by not providing a Social Security number, perhaps for the I-9, for that's citizenship and your authorization to work. Oh, and by the way, I've done what you and Don shared in regards to getting a FOIA request for the USCIS. I did that, and it says I'm not a citizen or have ever been one. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome, sir.
And yeah, so I mean, it's always, I've been speaking with Dawn here lately, and she's been so wonderful. And she shared something with me, and it's like I said, like I told her, it's iron sharpening iron. I have no ego. I applaud everybody's commitment to the research they're providing, and I learn every day. So I thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome. I just shared the IRS publication 6209.
Okay.
It's a PDF. Now, if you look on the first page, the W-2s, and the second page, W-4s. But if you just go to the right of the W-2, the second column says tax class. It says it's class 5.
Okay.
Now you scroll down to the 1040 U.S. U.S. individual income tax return. That's on page 4, next to the very bottom. Okay, tells you it's a class 2 or class 6.
What do those mean? Class 2, class 5, class 6? What is that?
Don't know yet. I'd have to go through their manual to even find what the class means. All I'm pointing out is they're not the right forms. And Rob Ryder has some videos that are this year. They're not like recent in the last week or two, probably a few months back, where he's helping a lady on a federal tax lawsuit. They filed an affidavit in the lawsuit against the commissioner of the IRS, and one of the allegations made was that it's extortion. They made 6 claims on their affidavit, and the commissioner of the IRS agreed with 4 of them, and one of those that was agreed to was that, yes, it's extortion. I said, that is huge. But the argument of the case is that they are class 5 forms and the 1040 is the wrong form, and they're suing the IRS over the fact that they're not disclosing to the people that it's the wrong forms.
So
I've read something.
tax class 1 is reserved by AES only, used for material items. Tax class 2 is reserved by AES only, used for labor items. Tax class 3 is not reserved but usually used for subcontract items. Tax 4 is not reserved but usually used for equipment items. Tax class 5, not reserved but usually used for, quote, other items. Tax class 6, not reserved but usually used for miscellaneous items. Class 7 is used for supervision items. 8.
Did you get that from the IRS?
No. I got it
What
from estimatingedge.com.
I would rather go through the IRS and see what they say. So please refer to that. Let's see. So let's do this. IRS tax class definitions. Well, let's clarification of taxpayers for U.S. tax purposes. Let's see, tax class 5. Correcting tax class 5 form. A tax class 5 form is an information return generally filled out by a payer, private sector employer, or contractor. Among the most, yeah, that's Wise in Paris. Let's see. Well, I tell you what, let's just do this. Where's my Westlaw account? There we go. Department of the Treasury. That's why I love my Westlaw account. Department of the Treasury. Now, let's go to the Internal Revenue Service. Go to their manual, revenue manual. Tax class. Tax class 1, let's see, input journal numbers. Tax class 2, tables for blocking series, true tax class 1. Tax class 6. So let's see, let's do it this way. And narrow it down. Withholding tax assessments, let's see. This stinks. Trying to see if I can find something where it says what the terms and definitions. Let's look at this one.
This one says the Internal Revenue Manual 6209 has proof that forms W2, W4, 1090s are all estate tax forms. Everybody who works for somebody or who receives money is affected by one or more of these 3 forms. Every employer who fills out a W2 tells the IRS.
Okay, here we go. Tax class explanations. Tax class 1, Withholding and Federal Insurance Contribution Act, FICA. Tax class 2, Individual income, tax class 3. Corporation income, tax class 4. Excise, tax class 5. Estate and gift. Now, what did I tell you it was? Class 5 is a gift and estate tax. Tax class 6, non-master file. Tax class 7, railroad retirement. Tax class 8, federal unemployment tax. Now, tax class 2 is individual income. That's why you do a 1040. The problem is the W-2 and the W-4 is the wrong forms for individual income. They are estate and gift. So the 706 and 709 forms are the tax returns for gift and estate, not the 1040. And this is in the Internal Revenue Manuals 3.17.15.16. And this was last updated 6/19/2020. Now let's scroll down. Let's go look at a few things.
Hey, Pastor, while you're looking at that real quick, I want to pick your brain on this one. Doesn't it say somewhere in the U.S. Code the definition of individual is that of a U.S. citizen?
It might.
I thought I saw that once before. That's because I was looking at that definition of person, of individual, corporation, association, trust, all that stuff, other than a man or a woman. But when I saw individual, it pointed me to that of a U.S. citizen, which if we've done our FOIA,
might.
Yeah. So that would you possibly think that since we're not that of a U.S. citizen, that
you're
class
not an
2
individual?
Yeah. That we're not classified as that class 2 of income?
Yeah, but if you're going to make that claim, you gotta go find the code.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Forgive me, I can't remember which one it is right now.
No need to ask forgiveness. I mean, I read so much stuff, I forget more than I remember.
I'm trying to do things scriptural and to make my way out of Babylon. And so my approach that I've been shared this knowledge of is to not make use of their laws or codes, but simply point them to their laws and codes and go by what the scriptures say.
I agree with that in part, because the Bible does say we are to follow man's laws unless they contradict God's laws.
Exactly.
Okay? So I don't have a problem using their stuff as long as it doesn't contradict scripture. Okay? Because I look at this system as a symbiotic relationship. And what I mean by it, isn't it our country? That means we have a certain fiduciary duty to take care of our country. And what's got us in the shape we're in is we've been lazy, which is a sin, on doing our part to take care of our country.
Correct. Exactly correct. And like what God said, God gave man the dominion of land and not that of a corporation like the United States.
Now tell me the definition of earth in the Bible. Isn't part of the definition of earth clay?
Correct.
So what if being man was created from the clay of the earth? What if your dominion, self-rule, was your body that you're to have dominion over, and that is your real estate?
Your temple. Exactly. Exactly right. Now, like I said, I didn't mean to get you off track there with your research in there, Pastor.
Oh, you're fine. I didn't search anything. I was just commenting.
Well, I thought you were looking for something just a minute ago. Forgive me.
Well, I already shared that. I shared that Internal Revenue Manual page where it says what the different classes are.
Gotcha. I was going to share with you this. But one of the things I did with the Home Depot, the actual board of directors and the former CEO of Home Depot, at the time, I got into a private agreement with them in regards to my faith and belief. And that's what Christ said to do in Matthew 5:25. He says, get in a private agreement with your adversaries. And they never rebutted the facts. They never refuted anything. So it pretty much, like an affidavit, if it didn't go rebutted, it stands in truth and commerce. And so that's what I've done. This is my endeavor with the Home Depot, and it's fixing to go to civil court here shortly. And I was sharing this with Don just a couple of days ago in regards to filing a claim for the damages that they've, placed upon me with a little bit of stress and anxiety for now having to find a way to provide for my family, which I've got other employment now. However, for the claim, that being me of a minister and not having to have the greed for money, what I'm going to file in regards to a claim is first and foremost to have these brothers and sisters that I had an agreement with to acknowledge that they screwed up, and firing me, adverse action, for not providing a Social Security number because I can't serve God and mammon. I have to provide for my family and my well-being as well to make a wage or money or something, in that regards. And then for me to forgive them. And then the second claim is, instead of demanding for a multi-million-dollar, financial gain from them, I would state possibly a request for a generous contribution to the ministry of Robert Henry. I think that might be a little more honorable in the approach on a summons, a court summons. I think it would be favored upon, amongst myself here, if the judge were to see that and say, wow, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Most people are out there for a certain dollar amount to extract from somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do have a vision.
You'd have to win the case to get the judgment, then turn around as soon as you get the order, say, Your Honor, I move this court to modify the judgment and show Home Depot that they have been forgiven, as the Bible commands me to forgive those that trespass against me.
Yes, exactly. And I'll share this with you. When I go to do that court document, when it says like the plaintiff or the applicant or the defendant and the respondent, I'm going to do it as the claimant versus the transgressors, those private men and women, and do as much as I can, keeping it within honor of the scriptures. And the other thing was, I just had it on the top of my head here. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Once I file that summons, I'm going to do a request for admissions because I posted this agreement in the USA Today and my local newspaper. And I shared those screenshots, those pictures with Dawn. And if she wants to pass it to you, that'd be great. I have no problem. I want everybody to see this, that this can be done. This is kind of like how I am trying to really try and free myself from that of Babylon. I'm halfway out, I've been told. With that passport, because
I'm sitting there thinking, honestly, you're already out of Babylon once you realize who you are.
Oh, that's amazing.
Citizen, so that means what?
Yeah, you're not the slave to the community, to the corporation, to the U.S. corporation.
Yeah, you're already out of Babylon, and now does that mean you don't do other things to? That's up to the individual and what path they want to take. I mean, you like the secured party creditor process. Do you want to establish your own trust so you have that vehicle to operate in commerce? That's up to you. But my buddy David Roach has no plates on his car, no registration, no license. He's beat the state 70 out of 72 times on his right to travel. They don't even mess with him no more. Okay. Has he done any of these processes we talk about? No, not a single one. He don't care about them. He's out of the system. It's all about knowing who you are.
Exactly. And I put that in my documentation, my agreement letters, not just to the board of directors and the former CEO, but then the new CEO who became a board member, Edward Ted Decker. And I put in there that perhaps there's a misunderstanding of who I am. That's what I put in one of those letters, stating that I'm that of a minister of Christ. And I'm, knowing that I wasn't a U.S. citizen, I put on there non-citizen national. And
Did you put on there that you're a citizen of the kingdom of heaven and your allegiance is to God?
no, I did not. Not in those documents. No. I was still learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Now, why would you do that? Because doesn't the Bible say you're a citizen of the kingdom of heaven? What is a
True,
citizen?
very true.
One who owes
Exactly.
allegiance to a respective government. Your government is God.
Yep, and only one God. Correct. Yeah, and iron sharpens iron. I know that's been mentioned before because, like I said, Sister Dawn there, my profile picture here used to be that of Albert Einstein with his tongue sticking out, but I was favored more in the quote that he was quoting. But she shared with me about symbolic Satanism stuff. Like, I didn't know that. And so, it's very wonderful, to speak with, similar-minded people, like such as yourself and Dawn. I'll share with you real quick. Me being out of Babylon, I surrendered my driver's license. There's a form in Texas, and I'm in Wisconsin, but I surrendered that driver's license, and I had them purge it out of the system immediately. The reason why I know that is because of the fact that when I was speaking with a lady from the license department, she said that once you surrender that license, they don't purge that number until 10 years after. So I requested to have it purged immediately before someone is injured, preferably me. If I was in a traffic stop infraction kind of thing. And I've been pulled over twice since I've had that passport card in Arkansas going north, Highway 67. I pulled over by a state trooper. It was just me on the highway. I was doing 105. So if there's anybody else, I'd be slowing down and not endangering any other travelers.
Yeah.
Anyways, that trooper, he asked for my identification, so I gave it to him. I said, I got my traveler's card. Here's my passport. And he comes back and goes, hey, Mr. Henry, on behalf of the state of Arkansas, if you wouldn't mind just slowing it down a little bit and just be safe for us. I said, well, what else seems to be the problem, trooper? He goes, well, you're not my jurisdiction.
Hey, I know that to be true.
Yeah. Another one, the second one.
My buddy EJ, he's in Oklahoma City. He's a former cop. And we talked, and I asked, and I said, so you're a former cop? He said, yeah. I said, do you know anything about the do not detain list? He said, yes, it does exist. He said, that's all I can tell you.
Well, I could go a little further.
I said, how do you know? He said, I've seen it.
Yeah. And I get pulled over in Illinois at 1:30 in the morning, and my GPS was showing a blue line one way and a blue line the other way. And so I was confused. And I wasn't speeding. I was just like a little U-turn. And next thing I know, an officer was behind me, which was a sheriff's deputy. And he goes, hey, everything okay? I said, man, I'm lost like you wouldn't believe. Dude, my GPS is showing me two different directions. And so he goes, you got any identification? I'm like, yeah, here you go. Here's my passport. He goes, wow, I've never seen one of these before. And so, most people don't step out of the vehicle, but I did. And I was in shorts, and it was like 25 degrees. And I'm like, man, what's taking so long? So I approached his window, and I said, hey, bud, what's taking so long? He goes, I'm still waiting for it to come back. So he'd come and sit inside with me here. So I'm in the passenger seat of his squad car. We're sitting there chatting. And I shared him that I was a minister of Christ. And he gets his report back and says, this is amazing. He goes, I've never seen this before. I said, well, let me ask you what it might say. He goes, okay. He goes, does it say anything about restricted? He goes, yeah. How about right to bear arms without a license or permit? Yeah. Does it say anything about do not detain? Yeah. He goes, who are you? He goes, you're not in my jurisdiction. He told me that too. I said, I'm a secret agent of America. I was messing with him. But no, that's, I've been pulled over twice, and it's been very enlightening. And so that's where I've kind of been branded to where I'm halfway out of Babylon. And I'll take it a further step after this Home Depot endeavor. I do have an attorney pro bono that I've shared all this information with. The Year of the Bible, 1983, Ronald Reagan. The religious liberty with Donald Trump, I point to all that stuff, and he was just enamored with what I presented to him, especially with that EEOC's own guidance manual in regards to not using the social security number, but having other means of identification.
Yeah.
And so he was like, wow, Robert, you've got standing. The other thing is like I said, doing that request for admissions after I summons or get my court case on the docket. The request for admissions, when that judge opens up that folder or that file and sees the newspaper clippings of the agreement, that they never refuted the facts, that's, bringing the transgressors to court to verify that, hey, listen, we agreed to it. We never denied the facts. That would stand in, that'd almost be like summary judgment there, I think. I'm still learning. But yeah, that request for admissions is probably going to be the icing on the cake in this matter.
And if Home Depot brings attorneys into the case, you can object to everything.
Well, that's the thing. I did it to the private men and women in their private capacity. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Pastor, you're cutting out. I think he's in a bad area.
But yeah, but I didn't know if you heard.
There you go.
No, I said if Home Depot brings in attorneys, you can object to everything they say because why? Those attorneys have no first-hand knowledge.
Well, not only that, but I did it to them. And I did that letter into their private capacity. Here's another thing I can share with you, brother. Ted Decker, who I wrote my second agreement letter to after being terminated, he received all my documentation, all my evidence of everything. And he had his top HR manager there in Atlanta, Georgia, call me by the name of Joyce Riggs. And I asked Joyce, I said, let me ask you something, Joyce. Are you a party to that letter that I wrote to Edward Ted Decker? And she goes, no, I don't know what you mean. I said, you know what I mean. Did I write that letter to Joyce Riggs and Ted Decker? She goes, no. I said, that means you don't have you're not a party to that agreement. Now, do you have power of attorney to speak on behalf of Edward Ted Decker? She goes, I can't answer that. I said, that tells me you don't, which means we're not supposed, you're more than welcome to talk to me about this. And you're now my witness. And my attorney agreed with me in that matter. So he was using Ted Decker. Oh, and I also got it recorded. I got that conversation with Joyce Riggs recorded. And I asked her, I said, how did you receive all the documentation that I registered, mailed, and certified mailed, 2 versions to Edward Ted Decker? Oh, he provided them to me. Oh, wow. That's amazing. I thank you for that because he's using corporate resources to make this a secular corporate. He's trying to bring me back into the corporation thing to where I was doing it honorably, like Christ said to do, in a private agreement to man, and not the one being the CEO or the CEO fictitious personage, mask wearing of a corporation. So I kept it honorably, speaking to him in his private capacity, holding him liable for the actions of his, management below him, as well as those board of directors.
That was a good call.
I digress.
That was smart.
Yeah, that's freaking great. I love hearing that. That's something Papa always did when he's run DAs out of court. He would look at him. The DA would open his mouth to say something. He said, "Are you accepting liability for that?"
Yeah, there you go.
He run a judge off the bench one time with that exact same statement. The judge opened his mouth, made a claim. "Are you accepting liability for that?" The judge left the courtroom.
A fellow minister in Ohio, she was incarcerated fraudulently for 30 days for not providing the social driver's license or any kind of registration. And her vehicle was titled and registered in Tennessee. Anyways, long story short, they kept trying to get her to, sign to the contract of those tickets. Anyways, I had her write a religious accommodations explaining to her that, to them, the chief of police, the prosecutor, and the judge. I'm sorry. The arresting officer, Sergeant Jared Watson. And they kept trying to bring her to court. Well, it was a religious accommodation of what the wrongdoings they provided and then or executed, and the fact that she can't be associated with a person like God says in the Bible, 7 or more scriptures. And so what also happened was when she appeared in court, she asked if this is a court of inherent jurisdiction where my faith and beliefs will be saved harmless. And then they had a recess, and she calls me from the courtroom bathroom. And she goes, Robert, they're ignoring everything I'm telling them. I'm asking the questions. They're ignoring everything. I said, okay, well, let's take this to another level. I want you to ask this court if this is a court of record. And then I want you to ask him if he upholds his oath of office. Well, apparently she got put in jail for 5 hours. And I was kind of concerned. Come to find out, that judge got pissed, turned his back on her, stood up until turned his back on her, and held her in contempt of court, threw her in jail fraudulently. And the reason why he did that is because he created an affidavit of indigent on her behalf to file a false court-appointed attorney. No, you're fine. A false appointed court attorney. There you go. And then the last hearing, she never appeared, and I found a documentation called Terms of Notice about the bonds and insurance policy for every judge, clerk, bailiff, sheriff, district attorney in all of the state of Ohio. This comes from the Columbus, Ohio. I think this is the capital. And I've got that documentation. So I had her fax that to the clerk of the court saying, I'm going to be filing a claim on each and every one of your bonds for the damages and liabilities that you placed upon me. Court dismissed. All charges dismissed, discharged, everything immediately. Yep.
But didn't
and I've got
open him up to a civil lawsuit against the judge? If she wanted to, she could sue him for rights, her rights being violated, her God-given rights being violated, and false imprisonment. Like, she could have hit him with so many things and sued him individually because he just broke the law.
And she is, because she's got it all recorded on audio on her phone. And I told her to do that as well. So she's got all the transmissions of everything, the court records, basically. She can go against the clerk of the court, the bailiff, all these individuals. She's working on it right now. She's working on her filing her civil lawsuit claim in regards to that matter. Her religious freedoms have been denied, which is that First Amendment. And then she also utilized the ICCPR, Article 1, all peoples have right to self-determination, in Article 3 and Article 18 of the International Covenant Civil Political Rights. So she's got a claim. I've been helping her with her, her and I have been working together. And
I was just going to also say that when you're in that sort of circumstance, that situation, when you're in front of the judge and attorneys and they're like trying to scare you and throw you into jail and stuff, you can also ask them if they have any indemnity bonds or financial interests in your case.
Oh yeah, very true, very true. Yeah. Some of the things that have taken place in her regards that happened so fast, and plus I'm always working on my stuff and as well as helping other people. And she's by herself. The most powerful thing that she did for herself was getting that a private agreement and then bringing 2 or more witnesses, like Christ says to do in Matthew 18:15-20, in which I accommodated her with that. I was able to get some more witnesses for her and then posted it in the newspaper. in her local area. She posted in a newspaper and then presented it to those people. They crap a golden goose. I promise you, when that happens, there's no wiggle room whatsoever.
Exactly. It's even more effective if the two witnesses are notaries.
Well, a notary is more of the commercial side still. Yeah,
But-
and so just having two or more witnesses, I think I've heard this. I could be wrong, but I think like 3 witnesses trumps any kind of notary. I mean, because in the Bible, Matthew 18:15-20, Christ says, "Bring 2 or more witnesses." I don't think there was any notaries back then, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well,
I'm just trying to.
I've heard
But-
that
Yeah.
judges are the ears of the court, the notaries are the eyes of the court, and the county recorder is the mouth of the court. And so they don't have to be notaries. I'm just saying, because you're in their jurisdiction, to have notaries there is very scary to the judge, because they are the official eyes of the court, and that notary's witness can do some serious damage to the judge. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to have a notary. I'm just saying that if you
Right.
have a witness you know of, like I'm thinking of becoming a notary,
Look,
because
in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, if you got a very important document that you need witnessed, go get 2 notaries.
Yep.
Or, I mean, like I said, it's very observant. I appreciate that, because I've used notaries too. Don't get me wrong, I have in the past. But I think perhaps, I don't know if that might fall on the lines of mixing public and private. I could be wrong.
No. See, you got a group of people out there that says, I should never do business with the fiction, like Anna von Rietz's crew. They have all their stuff filed on their private server, which don't do any good, because
Exactly.
the gentleman always gives notice. Right?
True. Yep.
So what are you doing when you go and do business with the fiction? When you do it right, you are giving them the proper notice to recognize who you are.
Well, in
Look,
regards to
you got your passport, and look how
Yeah.
you got it set up. So they recognized who you are.
Very true. Very true. Now, let me pick your brain on this one, Pastor. In regards to that passport, the one thing I noticed is that all caps name, I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
Romans dead grandma, similar to a headstone. It's considered being like a dead fiction. Would you agree with me on that, or am I wrong somewhere about that?
All vessels for commerce are civilly dead entities.
There you go. So that
Civil-
was something.
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can't be the civilly dead entity. You're a man created in God's image. But remember, God had his person also. Look in Job. Look in Hebrews. It said,
Job, yes.
are you gonna contend for his person? And in Hebrews, it talks about God and his person. Because why? It's understood. He had to have a person. That person is an agent for him.
Doing the work of the Lord.
That's right.
There you go.
You have your person. And go read the 4th Amendment. Be secure in his houses, effects, papers, and persons. All plural. Okay, how many persons can you have? Have as many as you want.
That is awesome. Hey, Pastor, Don, and the rest of the members of this channel. Hey, I got to get going. I thank you kindly for your observations and interactions.
Good to have you.
I'm glad you came on. I really, really am.
Pastor, we spoke before, brother. You're in the trucking industry, right? You're a truck driver, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, if you ever come to Wisconsin, come see me, brother. I work for a Peterbilt dealership.
I sure will do that.
Yeah, JX Enterprises. We do maintenance, service, repairs, sales, and dealership and trucks, and we also have Volvo parts, cat parts, anything you need, vinyl graphing, decals. So Central Wisconsin, brother, Wassa. If you ever in this area,
Okay.
or if you like, do me a favor. I think you private message me if you can, if you don't mind. Maybe we'll communicate later, but I'd like to send you a Peterbilt hat or a Volvo hat or something from the dealership
Okay.
as a contribution to your efforts.
Send me a new truck. That'd be great.
We'll write it off with the 501c3.
There we go.
Love you, brother. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Okay. Have a good day, sir.
You too. Don, I'll talk to you later, dear.
Well, that was fun. I like him. Oh, come on, people. Hurry up. Gosh. It don't take that long to take that many pallets off. So, anybody else? Well, if nobody else has got any questions, we'll end it here, and I'll post this video on my Rumble account for posterity.